Welcome back. This segment brought to you by Parkside Cabin Rentals. Less than a 35% chance of rain in Gatlinburg, the Gatlinburg area, every day this week and every day next week. So what better time to enjoy the Great Smoky Mountains? Get up to Sevier County and rent a cabin that meets your specific needs. Parkside Cabin Rentals has more cabins and more different floor plans than anyone else in the area. Trust me, talk about meeting your needs. You need a cabin for 2, they got it. You need a cabin for 30, they've got it. ParksideCabinRentals.com to learn more. All right, this week the governor signed a bill that will allow college athletes inside the state of Tennessee to earn money for the use of their name, image, likeness, or NIL as it's called. We knew this was coming. The NCAA opened the door for it. All these states are going to be saying you can do this. Tennessee's law will probably kick in January 1st.
Yes.
There are some other SEC states that are going to kick in July, some in September. Maybe that's an advantage or disadvantage to Tennessee. But what I want to discuss, though, while the whole thing's in the news, is just, is this good for Tennessee overall? And by that I mean, if this had happened when Tennessee was a national power, late 80s, 90s, early 2000s, that's one thing. You're in a long down cycle now. This is the kind of thing that, well, you'll tell me, does it make the haves havier and the have-nots have-notier? And if Tennessee's now a have-not, does that drop them? Do you look at it and say, the Tennessee fan base is passionate. This is a pretty good media market. Guys will be able to make a little bit more money than, say, somewhere else. You look at it and you think an Alabama guy's going to get more exposure than a Tennessee guy. They're going to talk about him nationally, everything else. A Tennessee guy's going to get more coverage than a Wake Forest guy. Do you see it playing the same for everybody? Do you see it being an advantage for Tennessee? Do you see it being a disadvantage for Tennessee? Thoughts on this?
Well, I would lean towards it maybe not being an advantage that fans would hope. Like, I think, kind of to use your term, the haviers and the have-nots.
The haves will get heavier?
Yeah. I do think that the Alabamas of the world and the Clemsons and Ohio States, they're going to have a plan for this, and we've already seen Alabama already talk about it and brag about it. I think they're going to have the resources, the fan following, because of the success that they've had, and I would anticipate that they're going to do well. Another thing I thought was interesting is that Danny White telling Brent Hubbs that they really haven't done a whole lot of work on it. Now, maybe that isn't accurate. Maybe he just wants to keep that quiet. But he said, well, we'll get to that once we cross that bridge, basically.
They do have other things on their plates at the moment, but right. Yes, that's a pretty big one.
Yeah, I would think that you have to, because as important as it is, and you don't want to fall behind, that you want to be on top of it. And maybe, like I said, maybe he is, and that's just something you don't want to put out publicly. We'll see. But you cannot be behind on that subject.
Yes, you don't necessarily think it's going to be an advantage.
No, not right now.
Not where you are.
Yeah.
In other words, I think if you were on top, it would help you stay on top. If you're in a hole, I don't think it helps you get out. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I think it helps with where Tennessee is. You've pulled up what the average recruiting rankings over the last several coaches, right? It's in the 12 to 13 range.
Yep.
I think compared to the other schools that recruit in that spot, I think it can be an advantage for Tennessee because Tennessee has done a good job with branding. I'm going off the assumption that Tennessee is proactive in helping the athletes, but your pitch to recruits would be, hey, we have all of these resources, we have these people, our branding, our video, yada, yada, yada. And with social media and recruits see the interaction from fans on social media, that's something that will be attractive to the 16, 17, 18-year-olds will speak that language. So in trying to beat out an Auburn in the SEC for recruits, beating out Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, no. But beating out teams in the middle of the pack of the SEC or the second-tier ACC teams, second-tier Big Ten, I think it gives Tennessee an advantage versus those schools.
Isn't it crucial how you implement this? And why are some schools like July 1st, some January 1st?
Well, it's the states.
Right. Yeah,
it's
I mean,
it's
and the state legislatures, I get that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it needs to be a uniform policy to me.
That's not happening.
I know,
and
that's what the problem is.
Yes.
And then I'll also say, how is it going to be handled within a team? How's the offensive lineman that's not getting anything going to feel when the quarterback's getting X, 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 Y, and Z?
Well, they're going to have to deal with it one way or the other. I mean, they're either going to do it or not.
But I'm just saying
but
that
it's
this
an
is just
overall
like
thing. Do you think this is a plus or a minus for Tennessee compared to other schools? Do you see it playing the same?
I see it playing about the same. And I think you're playing catch up unless they come out with something. I just don't like the way it's starting out because I sure don't trust Florida. You know. I'm serious. I know.
Josh, you and I are on different sides of this. Almost like there's a glass thing between us.
Why do you think it's there?
Yes, exactly. You don't think that there's going to be huge amounts of money thrown at these players.
Right.
I think there certainly could be. I look at a guy like Phil Knight at Oregon, who helped build his program, his alma mater. What would he have done if this had been available? How many Oregon athletes would have been on billboards for Nike? You look at Kevin Plank with Maryland and Under Armour. Some of the guys that the guys that built the Wildcat Lodge up there at Lexington, those coal mine guys that just have money to throw into their favorite activity, and that happens to be Kentucky. I wonder if those kind of guys, or a bigger media market, Nashville's a bigger media market. Let's say some country music star wants to help Vanderbilt.
Right.
You don't think that's going to happen. I think it's a possibility. I'm always looking for the rain cloud that's floating overhead. You don't think that that's going to be as big a deal. You think this is mainly going to be like social media type stuff.
Yeah, I think it'll be things like that. Social media, where you can be an influencer for a company. I think there will be dollar opportunities. I think there'll be a lot of trade opportunities where in exchange for this, an athlete will be able to pitch something. So food, how much do we talk about athletes and food and their ability to go out and get groceries? I think there'll be an opportunity for something like that. There
Or
will be
McDonald's.
payments. Yeah, right. Yeah, sorry. Put the bag on the table.
Put the bag on the
Now,
table.
there will be exceptions. The Zion Williamson that has 1 million+ followers on Instagram, there's no telling how much money he can get.
Yeah.
There also may not be a true telling of how much money he got when he went to Duke. So we already have some court cases with Adidas saying, yeah, it looks like we probably paid him. So I would offer that reminder that kind of thing's already going on. So they'll go ahead and get their deals. But Zion is an exception. Trevor Lawrence, I think, will be an exception.
Well, and another factor is, what does the NCAA try to do to sort of cap and control it? Yes, every state has.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be smooth to start out. I'm not gonna make that
absolutely.
case.
Oh,
You
you
can
can
trust
be the
them.
Wild West.
You can trust that they're going to do the right thing. So that's another factor that can kind of really change where that line is.
And one of the problems is, from what I understand, that a lot of student athletes couldn't even get like a regular part-time job at some point if they wanted to, because of the way things are. And that's why they had to go to where, I could see like some autograph signings.
Oh,
or
yeah.
I can see some like at the car dealership show up and then the athlete, start driving the new vehicle, or how it just seems like it opens up I know it's a cliche, but a whole can of worms, and I wonder why you have to go there unless you're afraid of a lawsuit or something down the road.
If you open the can of worms, inside you find Pandora's box. That's what we're talking about opening. It's and then there's something inside that you don't want to open. So, yeah, I think it's very dangerous in terms of the team stuff. I mean, I always thought there was this push that let people sell, let kids get the money from the jerseys that sell with their name on them. Here's the problem: so do you just sell the number, or does Tennessee now have to go out and print 8 million jerseys for everybody? And what if the offensive lineman says, "Well, I didn't sell any because you didn't print any for me"? You made this one for the quarter. What about the fact that now you got 5 guys on one team that all wear the number 3? You can't be on the same field at the same time, but guys share numbers now. So there are all kinds of nightmare scenarios with this that I think people are cheering it, and it's great for the athlete. Yeah, and I think it's really going to be a mess, an absolute mess.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's been so many missteps, at UT that we could very well see them either be behind or have some issues along the way in handling that, so that can cause more problems.
It's amazing, just where Tennessee is, and you have to think of it this way. You have to.
Yeah.
There's no way not to think of Tennessee and always go, well, they'll find a way to screw it up. If this had come about when Doug Dickey was the AD, is there anyone here? Chuck, you and I are ancient. We would have immediately thought Tennessee's going to have this one figured out.
Yeah.
Dickey's got it. Nobody liked Doug Dickey, but he was the best businessman in the world. He's a great AD. You would feel confident instead of, and that just hit me live here on the show, just your comment there, Tennessee. Yeah, knowing Tennessee, they'll screw this up. I said it last week. The first player in America, you watch, the first player in America to be cuffed and dragged away due to tax evasion from money they made in college will be a Tennessee athlete. Probably at halftime of a big game.
Okay, I'll take the other side on that bet. I'll take
Of course. All right, when we come back, let's talk Tennessee baseball. Big win yesterday. Is there a battle brewing over this whole stadium thing and the future of UT and the downtown park? So we'll discuss. Come on back.